Oh, you doing that little goddamn
Yeah.
that little trick? You gotta show the people this trick because that trick is looking crazy.
About to.
Got
one reason I waited.
Yo, this is Yaga Talk. We tuning in and I'm chilling down here with goddamn Big Steve.
The Yaga.
The Yaga. Yeah, Yaga Talk. Finna go crazy. How you been, bro?
Blessed and highly favored.
As you know,
Yeah.
that's how we supposed to be.
Growing.
That's how we supposed to be.
Living, learning.
Yeah. What's the last thing you learned? You feel like you learned life been taught your ass.
Oh man. Patience still. And see, that's one lesson I thought I already learned.
Yeah,
but it was like there's a different level of patience.
Yeah.
And learning that the process is the process. You can't rush the process. If you help a butterfly when it's trying to get out of its cocoon, it will never be able to fly.
Yeah.
Because it needs to go through the struggle of breaking through the cocoon
Make
to
sure
build strength in the wings.
Yeah.
So that it can fly.
Oh, we just gonna start it off like that. All right, man. I want to talk. Remember that night we was out downstairs having a conversation.
Yeah.
An in-depth conversation just about people, just about religion, talking about the spirituality of life.
Yes.
You gave me a quote that I done said it to people and it changed their life. So I know for a fact, like, you done said it to so many motherfuckers who done really not been able to describe exactly what they feel. But you said that you graduated from Christianity. Not you transitioned to another religion, not you transmutated the energy, none of that over analyzing or over explanation of it. You just graduated from Christianity. I want to hear your process of how that happened.
Ooh. We are just gonna start like that.
Yeah, we are just gonna start like that. We might as well.
So we'll need a little backstory,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll try to keep it brief. I was born and raised up in Wisconsin. I was homeschooled, pretty much kindergarten through 12th grade. Grew up on a farm. Very Christian, very strict Christian upbringing. Like, boys had to have short hair, girls had long hair. Girls wore skirts. I wore a shirt while I went swimming.
Yeah.
You know, like things like that. I didn't even listen to contemporary Christian music because it had drums in it.
Oh man.
That type of level. It's very strictly biblically based behavior that we followed.
Okay.
Like, my church considered themselves what in Christianity they would call an inner court Christian. Basically, that they were the next level of Christian. You know, like everybody else is stuck in the foundational doctrines and theologies, but we practice.
Y'all excelled.
Right, exactly. We were beyond, the salvation message or baptism, something like that. We're past that.
Got you.
So grew up in that, and when I was 18 and looking for an outlet to leave my home life because there was a lot of strife there.
This rolling method is crazy. My bad. You were saying?
I heard through a friend there's a ministry school in Fort Mill called Morning Star Ministries. And pretty much the enticement was, well, this is something Christian that I can do that is also, like, I don't have to go to join the military or anything. I can be at home. And this will work. And they also taught advanced Christianity. So the ministry school I went to it's not like a seminary where you get your doctorate in theology and all those things.
Yeah.
You could. But pretty much their school was on spiritual gifts. Okay. So prophecy, healing, dream interpretation. They had a worship school, things like that, teaching how everyone can prophesy, everyone can lay hands on and heal and those things. So that was pretty much from when I was probably 7 or 8 until I left the ministry school, which would have been, I was like 23. So 15 years, that was my lifestyle, was Christianity.
Got you.
At a very hardcore level.
Yeah.
I've probably read the Bible through about 17, 18 times. Front to back.
Just because
I had
lifestyle.
to. That's what I would wake up in the morning and I had to do an hour of devotions.
Got you.
Which was reading my Bible and praying for an hour before I even left my room. So
yeah.
I learned a lot about spirituality from that perspective. So I moved down to Fort Mill. I did the ministry school for about 2 years. And then I worked for the ministry once that 2 years was up for about 2 years. But my perspective changed a lot when I became an employee versus when I was a student.
Yeah.
Because when I was a student, these people that I'm being taught by and interacting with are people that, I'm supposed to revere, to look up to, and idolize almost. When I became an employee, it was like I disappeared into the woodwork. I was kind of like a piece of furniture. They didn't really see me anymore. I was just kind of there. But in
like a fly on the wall.
Being an employee, I got to be in a lot of places that I wasn't able to be in before and see how these people really behaved and responded and how they really do things. And I started seeing a lot of contradictions. So this ministry school is set up in what was once called the PTL Ministries Hotel. Jim Baker, who went to prison for stealing a bunch of money, was the owner of that ministry. Once he went to prison, most of the land was sold, and Morningstar bought the hotel and turned it into their own ministry. So it's like a 500,000 square foot hotel. It's huge, right? They hold conferences, all kinds of stuff there. So
yeah,
I worked there in like the setup department.
Okay.
So conferences, weddings, things like that. I was the guy moving tables and chairs.
No.
I understand as a business, it is bad business to have homeless people at your business. I get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, as a multi-million-dollar ministry with dozens of missionaries overseas being funded by you have full capacity to help these individuals, and as part of your mission statement as a Christian, and you're turning these people away. You have 500 rooms in this hotel, a fully functioning kitchen that caters to weddings, and a restaurant every day. And you can at least give these individuals 3 square meals, 24 hours, and a hot shower. It was that really bothered me.
It put you in that
It
position,
really bothered
right?
me. Like, you have to decide if you're a business or a ministry,
Yeah.
because you're promoting yourself as one thing and behaving as another. So it upset me to the point that pretty much I removed myself from the bubble.
Okay.
I was like, I'm still a Christian, but I'm not doing organized religion anymore. I'm not doing church. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Once I had removed myself from the bubble, I started asking all the questions that I had while I was in the bubble, but was given very one-sided answers to. So one of my mantras is a quote from Buddha, who I told you the other night.
Mm-hmm.
On the journey to truth, there's only 2 mistakes you can make. One is to never start. The second is to start and never finish. And he goes on to say that on that journey to truth, you cannot leave any stone unturned if you really want to find truth. It doesn't matter how much that stone offends you, how much it hurts you, how much it scares you, how much you don't agree with it. If you want truth, you have to go there, and you have to be objective. So with that mindset in mind, I started asking all these questions.
Yeah, that's definitely a mindset to actually get into, to asking questions. You feel a lot more free. You feel like you have the right to ask the questions rather than...
Absolutely. Instead of being punished for asking the question, which I was while I was growing up. One of the questions, I was probably 15 or 16, I asked my mom, and it was just even towards our specific church, not even against Christianity. I looked at her and I said, how do we know that our belief system in our church is right? You know, compared to the Baptists or the Catholics or the Protestants or like how, because they believe just as much as we do that they're correct.
Yeah.
So how do we know that we're
the right
correct, right? And all that happened was I got yelled at for it, you know. And that's how those kind of questions are reacted to in that kind of belief system.
Often when people react that way to questions, it's either because they don't have answers or because they don't want to give you the answer.
Right.
And it's like, if you can't ask questions, how are you supposed to continue to follow it? How are you supposed to gain an understanding?
People fear what they don't understand.
Yeah.
And fear is a great motivator.
Mm.
So, as I started asking these questions, we talked a little bit the other night about the astral projection and all of that.
Yeah.
But to focus more on the question you asked, the other part of the beginning of that journey was I want an objective view on the history of the religion that has dictated every step of my life for the past 15 plus years.
Yeah.
Outside of the perspective of that religion. Like, what is everyone else saying about Christianity? What does history say about Christianity? All of those things. And so I started digging.
Started digging through that little Pandora's box.
And the further back I got, and the deeper I got, really learning about Constantine and all that happened in Rome and why the Catholic Church was created in the first place. I got so disgusted because the only sin that is unforgivable in Christianity is denying your faith. You will be forgiven for everything else at death's door, and you say, Jesus, I take you as my Lord and Savior, come into my life right now, you will make it into heaven. Right? The one thing that you cannot come back from is denying your faith. Meaning, if you wholeheartedly accept the religion and the faith, and then you walk away from it, you're not allowed to come back, having known the truth and rejected it. And it's a fear.
Yeah.
So it keeps you there. That's why almost everybody you know will say, yeah, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus, but their lives come nowhere near matching it, is because to them it's a safety.
It's like,
well, I won't
just
go to
in
hell.
case this is real.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I got so disgusted with what I learned. I said, in myself, I said, you know what? I really don't care if this is right. I cannot ascribe myself to this knowing this is what the truth is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was at that point that I gained the mindset, because while I was in Christianity, we talked about this the other night, I experienced power and truth while I was there in that environment. From working miracles, healing people, commanding the like all of these things, prophesying, dream interpretation. I walked and moved in those things, so I could not deny the truth of what I experienced. So I couldn't just say fuck Christianity.
Yeah,
I couldn't, because there was still truth there.
Got you.
As my study continued from my history lessons to the astral projection and things like that, I started studying the psychedelic world as well, because it kept popping up through all of that study, and I was like, okay, I guess this is the next time to study.
Got you.
I studied as much as I could about psychedelics in pretty much all forms, from positive to negative, pros, cons. Every video article I could find, I would read, I would watch, and to the point that pretty much I now can only make a decision based on experience of myself, and based on what I've studied. I think this might be a good idea.
Yeah, you have all the information.
Right, because I don't have to. If something's, I don't have to learn them. I can learn from other people's lessons.
Yeah.
I don't have to learn the lesson myself. You know what I mean? If I see somebody else put their hand on the burner in the stove and they get burned, I don't have to be like, I wonder if it'll burn me. I'll go. I guess
stay away from
I guess that burned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So having again that mindset and being like, all right, based on what I've learned, I feel like this is at least a good decision to try, and I can measure for myself if this is something that even I would want to continue.
Gotcha.
And it was a beautiful trip. It was a beautiful, beautiful trip. But about 2 hours into the trip, I remember I was outside, and the presence that I felt there with me was a very familiar presence to me. In Christianity and in church, we were told to call that the Holy Spirit. It was the exact same entity, if you will, because it was one I'm very familiar with, that I have experienced and become very intimate with in my Christian walk. And when that presence showed up in that moment, it was such a beautiful moment because it made so much click for me. I said, oh, you're here too? Okay. So it's the same in how in Christianity, each denomination is not incorrect in their theology. They all just have one piece, one facet that they focus on. But each one has a different facet.
Yeah.
But they don't view it that way. I got that perspective just largely. Because there's still, and I realized that Christianity was one of the stones that I had lived under on that journey to truth. You know, your dad, your grandpa said, "Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater," or what did he say? "Chew up the meat, spit out the bones."
Yeah.
Just because one thing may be incorrect, or you may not agree with, does not mean that truth is still not there. And I had to learn that I could pull out what was beneficial and true in my lessons in Christianity and still apply them to the walk that I now walk, which is a much different version of that power.
It's that graduation,
right? And so it's exactly. I need. Do you still believe or feel the same way you did in high school about everything that you thought you knew? No, you graduated.
Yeah.
There is still truth that you learned and experienced in high school, but you don't take that entire experience and apply it to every day of your life.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people do, walking in trauma.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy.
People walk.
A lot of people. Yeah,
people walk around in their suits of armor, thinking that that's their identity.
You gotta peel that armor off.
The thing is, they never have.
Yeah.
Because that armor became necessary for survival.
Damn, that's crazy. I just had that conversation. Oh, that's when they hit. That's when they punch the shit out of somebody. I know. Ooh. I feel like when we walk in that armor is for us to feel protected, especially emotionally.
It's like
high school. Well, our childhood, we go through so much. Oftentimes we consider it normal, but it's not normal. But we don't know anything better
because it's normal to you.
Because it's normal to me. It's normal to us. When it comes to dealing with that, and you find out, oh, I didn't have to go through this, it then turns to pain.
But that's part of the grieving process.
That's a part of it.
That is a necessary part of the grieving process. In healing,
yeah,
a lot of times you will get sad because you'll realize the things you may have missed out on, how you shouldn't have been treated, and you allowed yourself to get treated.
Yeah.
Sadness is appropriate.
Yeah.
We so often try and tell ourselves not to feel the negative emotions when those emotions are necessary. Even in the Bible, a truth, one of the quotes is, be angry and sin not. It doesn't say don't be angry. It says do not sin in your anger. Meaning do not respond in that anger.
Yeah.
It's a mindset that nobody's taught. None of us are taught. That suit of armor,
it holds us in place.
Exactly. And so, tying this kind of in with psychedelics, it's going to sound fucked up to say, but I don't believe in bad trips when you're taking psychedelics. Now, I do understand that people have had bad trips.
I was going to say.
Yes. However, people do not understand, more often than not, what they're interacting with when they're taking a psychedelic. They have no idea that this is medicine.
Yeah, it's medicine.
You're about to have an experience that hasn't been explained to you.
So when you experience it,
so like let's say you're
unknown.
Say you're a kid, junior in college, go to a party, right? That 21-year-old has no sense of self-identity at all. They're just figuring that out. They go to the party, they have at least 6 different facades that they put up for 6 different groups of individuals. Yeah. You're this way for these people, you're this way for these people, you're this way for these people. They gave them a psychedelic, and they just think they're going to get fucked up. Not understanding that they're about to go through a very cathartic, therapeutic, intense healing process. Because what psychedelics do is they bring you to the forefront. And if you don't know you, and there's a lot of trauma and wounding and gross shit in between.
Yeah, in between
that comes up first. And all of a sudden you have trauma flashbacks, you have all of these things that you start thinking about that you don't want to think about. Because you're not in a position where you're not in a therapy session. You know what I'm saying? So then you fight that in the trip, but the trip, you can't fight the trip. And that's why it'll get worse and worse. And it basically, people just say they're spiraling and they just go in a circle.
Because they're still trying to fight. Because
they're fighting against the lesson and the healing that's trying to be brought in that moment. Because if it's bringing it up, it's important. It's, okay, I'm bringing this up right now so we can deal with it. Not to beat you up about it, not to condemn you for it, not to make you feel ashamed and all of those things, but so it can be dealt with.
Yeah.
Right.